Hey guys, Ryan here from CreativeSoundLab.tv. Well, today we're going to be talking about using lawn chair cushions as sound treatment. This is actually something that I wanted to do for a while, something that's just super down to earth. You go to a place, how do you use what you have to modify the room to start actually the mixing process ahead of time? This is where we start to mix, is when we set up the mics. And so, yeah, how can we use just objects that we have around the house to actually modify the sound of the room? So you can see, around me here, I have the lawn chair cushions just set on the floor. I have some, on the mantle there. These are not professional, sound panels or anything. It's just stuff that I found around the house here. And these drums are sounding really nice. So, I mean, if anything, just take this as encouragement that this stuff is easily done. You just got to modify it, listen, adapt, modify it again, and just keep trying until you find something that you like. You can see I have a packing blanket that is strapped to the bookshelf there, and then I kind of just threw some cushions, around the floor here. Okay, let's check out the sound of this thing. Okay, so if I could just stop it right there, I'm going to point out a couple different things in the shot here. The longer cushions, I'm not having to hang and drill holes in the wall, hang hardware on the wall. I'm using just natural things that are in the room that are things like shelves, the mantle over the fireplace. It has a flat surface, so I can put something up high without having to drill a hole. The small table, on basically my left, the hi-hat side there. Um, again, I can add treatment around the windows without having to drill any holes, without having to hang anything. So again, like this is totally doable. Let's see what it sounds like without this sound treatment. Okay. Okay. So there was a slight shift in tone there, but if you notice, the drums actually sound just a little bit more intimate. And that's the difference. It's not just one thing, but there's also side effects to, adding cushions. And what we're doing is we're trying to shape the longevity of the room, right? The tail of that reverb, but we're also shaping the tone of the room. And we also have kind of the side effect where we can also make the close mic sound just a little bit more in your face. I never thought that having a guitar box, ISO box, like the Bad Axe Cab box that I reviewed, and I still have that. It sounds great, but it has a sound to it, and I didn't realize that even for guitar amp, for a close mic on guitar amp, you are still getting some of the room sound. It's just amazing. I never quite heard it until I isolated it and threw it in a really dead box. And this is happening a little bit here. We're getting a little bit more intimate of a sound, a little more in your face sound from the close mics, especially that kick. So the idea is to kind of hopefully add some absorption in the room. The thicker the material, the more lower frequencies that you're going to be treating. So the packing blanket, for example, that'll be treating more like higher frequencies, where something real thick that'll have the ability to treat more lower frequencies. I'm completely butchering the science of acoustics. So, you know, but that's the general idea, is to have a variety of different surfaces, a variety of different thicknesses, and then, add or subtract those different surfaces from the room to affect the tone. And hopefully, as we affect the tone, we're not cutting off the reverb tail too quickly. We're hopefully able to maintain the reverb that we like, but kind of modify the tone. And unfortunately, as we take out some of the brittle high end, make the room sound more warm sounding, we can sometimes make it sound almost too tight, and we lose some of that reverb tail. And that's when we start to sound kind of muddy and almost like that carpeted living room sound. So you got to be careful how much you add here. And I think that it hits a point where it really goes fast and you can really get a muddy sound. But I think that it takes a lot to get there. I mean, we'd have to add a lot of material to this room to really get to that point where we could take it too far. So I think this is sounding great, but let's hear a few different examples of, adding, professionally made sound panels to this versus wide open. Come back to the lawn chair cushion and so forth. Okay, wide open. So the kick and snare all of a sudden just kind of come forward just a little bit. Okay, it's not about making it louder in the mix. Sometimes it's just, sometimes what you need is not the new plugin that came out, but what you need to do is to go get your lawn cushions, bring them into your recording room, and that would have been the better solution. Okay, so mixing starts when you record. Okay, it doesn't start later. It starts when you set up the mics. That's when the tone selection starts. That's when EQ starts. That's when compression happens through air and distance. So this is really cool. I mean, this is real basic stuff, but you got to really be willing to experiment with this stuff. Just kind of zoom out here. This is all multi-track here, so I can actually show you individual mics on this. Let's listen to it totally closed down. So this has sound panels and the lawn chair cushions. You hear how direct that floor tom sounded, especially the kick and the snare. It still has some longevity to it, so that's really nice. It's like this kind of warm, woody sound. This is not a bad sound at all. Of course, you could go for the wide open thing, but it's a great sound. Okay, next up is just the professional sound panels. Yeah, yeah. So that also sounds very nice. This is an ORTF configuration here. I love ORTF. And I'm using my kind of no fails approach to drum recording with the overheads. Um, I have a course on this on drum recording made easy. I really talk about this system almost like that the black t-shirt, that black jacket that always works. You really can't go wrong with this type of thing in your wardrobe. And this technique, you really can't go wrong with this technique, kind of in your bag of tricks for capturing a drum kit. We're attacking it using a stereo bar, and we can affect the wideness of the kit, the amount of roominess in the kit based on the height of the mics. There's tons of ways we can modify the stereo image of the kit by this simple system here. There's a lot that goes into it, but that is the foundation of the stereo image of the kit, stuff that can't be modified later in mixing. And sure, you could make it wider, right? But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to do that. It's better if you just get it right on recording day. So this is just the professional sound panels. Let's skip around a little bit. Okay, wide open. Yeah, so you can see the difference in these sound panels. I believe this is OC703 2-inch covered with Guilford of Maine. Um, yeah, so there's probably 8 different sound panels, and there's a couple up on the mantle here. There's actually one on the kitchen cabinet behind the camera. So just any way you can get them up is usually better. But yeah, you can hear the difference in what these sound panels are making. But I really think those lawn chair cushions, that did the trick. I think this actually sounds quite good. Let's see here. Here we go. So first up, just the professional sound panels, and then we'll do with the lawn chair cushions. Who would have guessed? I mean, everybody should be doing this technique. This is of course I'm being ridiculous, but I think that actually sounds a little better. It's warmer, so it's not just about the amount of cushions, but these are kind of thin. They're not very heavy like these cushions in here. They're super thin. It's like that like spongy cushion type stuff, whereas the one over the mantle is much heavier. It's almost like a real stuffing. So the variation of materials will help and just kind of diversify how the room reacts. I'm covering up a lot of the flat surfaces because that's easiest, right? It's also taking care of some of the flutter echo that happens between the floor and the ceiling. I have this couch here that does that. Any way I can break up, I left this this picture here. Anything, all this furniture, it all breaks up the walls. You take that furniture, it's going to sound different. So it actually helps to leave that kind of stuff in. So yeah, if you have nothing else, that is not bad. It doesn't have the effectiveness of the professional sound panels, but it's better than nothing, It's better than nothing. Now, you may think that it's not that much, reverb, but the problem is it'll get worse as you mix, as you add compression. So like this wide open thing here. that starts to get a bit much. Then with the lawn chair cushions, okay, not bad. Let's see here. Close down with the panels and cushions. Yeah, that actually sounds quite nice. Now, I would say, I don't know that. mm, we're kind of approaching the territory where it could sound a little bit muffled. So, uh, I guess if I could kind of emulate what that may sound like, let me see if I can get there. Yeah. So as you add more absorption, carpet, whatever, rugs, you're going to get more of this kind of honky kind of weirdness. It's going to sound kind of like that, but a little bit shorter. So just be careful of that. Of course, I'm using EQ, right? So this is going to have a phase shift just by, a little bit, and that has a sound to it. But if you could not use EQ, then the idea is that, well, you go out to your car or other headphones that you've never heard before, and you don't have too many surprises. It actually transfers quite well to the outside world. You use a bunch of EQ, well, then in general, you're going to have more surprises when you go listen in your car and whatnot. So, one just kind of final look at this outboard here. I'm doing like a kind of like a top down approach. I have a I have actually a lot going on. There is two bus compressors, the successors there, and then the creme, and that's kind of the final thing, and that's like fully wet 100%. But the successors, um, the one actually had an issue with one channel, so long story short, I ended up with a second one to make sure that I could, check it out and demo it and all this. But um, yeah, so they're both in stereo. They're both like basically one after the other, and they're kind of like a 50-50 on each. It's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. So you can see that the first compressor is kind of adding some roominess, has a little bit of a fast attack. Uh, Actually, the second compressor has the faster attack. What is going on there? Oh, I think what it is the ratio is higher in the top compressor. So that makes it it seems faster, right? So it'll make it seem faster on that attack. Whereas the low ratio on the one beneath it, it'll seem a little slower on that attack. Kind of like the 1176, it always seems like you have to compensate. It seems to get faster. You go to 20 to 1. So interesting because I really hadn't noticed that. But I think that's what's going on there. There's a bit more bite to that attack on that second one. I think it's because of the low ratio. So that second one is adding basically punch. The first one is adding kind of the roominess. They're both at about 50%, maybe 40%, something like that. And then the final one, just for the heck of it, just kind of gluing everything together. There's no mix knob on the creme, but yeah, I'm just kind of doing that, add some top end because it's really nice on the top end. So one more time here. That sounds kind of nice at a higher ratio, slower attack for the creme. But yeah, so that was kind of a little bit of what I'm working with on kind of stereo bus there. It's almost like I didn't want to quite mix this stuff. I just want to see what it sounds like, but at the same time, I want to kind of control the dynamics a little bit, kind of bring it up with the video, and also just kind of see what it'll do under compression. It's almost like a stress test. It's like a vocal mic. First thing I do is add compression, see what it does under compression, and just see how it handles the dynamics and how it kind of pushes the compressor and makes it do a certain thing. So, yeah, this was cool. Let me know what you thought of this video. Hey, are you going to do the music? Do, yeah. So, let me know what you think of this video. Yeah. What do you want to see next? I'm thinking about like putting drums in like a bedroom. Hey, keep the music. Yeah, keep the music. Okay. Putting drums in a bedroom, all this sort of stuff. So, let me know what you think of this. Talk to you soon in the comments.